sake of tonight's episode, guys, I really want to hone in on how to value and calculate a refurb with a definite air of confidence, even if you are really fresh and new to deal sourcing, which many of the guys inside this community are, because that's what we are aiming to help. Okay, so for the sake of tonight's episode, guys, I'm going to talk around calculating a refurb for your standard buy to let. Why? Why am I doing that? Very good question, and I've got a really good answer. So last night, as I mentioned, we kicked off our new coaching program, Ready, Set, Source. Okay, so that is specifically for deal sourcers in the first, not to 6 months of their journey. And one of the questions I asked inside the coaching call last night was, what would you like to source? Okay, so what's your strategy that you would like to source? And eventually, what would you like to invest in for your own portfolio? Now, the answer was an overwhelming vote for buy to lets. So it makes sense for me to talk to you guys tonight on calculating a refurb around buy to lets, because it seems that is what the masses are sourcing. It also happens to be what I began sourcing 4.5 years ago, my bread and butter, and it also happens to be what my portfolio is largely made up of now, so I can speak with massive confidence on this. Let's kick off, guys, and start from the ground up. Okay, so let's reverse engineer the refurb process. You've booked a viewing, whether it's direct to vendor or through an agent, maybe it's a house call. What is the first thing that you want to do when we get there? I'm going to tell you, you want to get a good look around the interior of the property in detail. My go-to room in every property that I view, first and foremost, is the kitchen. Not because I'm an absolute food freak, because I am, right? But if the property is being let to family or young professionals, which is generally the case with buy-to-let tenants, then what we need to know as sourcers and investors is if we can make do with what is currently in the property, or do we need to factor in a new kitchen as part of our refurb calculations? Now, guys, it's really important to keep in mind that when we are looking at these refurb costs on tonight's training, which is the basis of buy to let, if we were looking at the refurb costs with a view to flip the property, with a view to buy, sell up and do on, then the numbers that we would choose to spend money on would be different. Okay, why? Because the spec of a refurb required for a flip is higher than that required for your standard buy to let, buy to hold, which you plan to keep. Okay, so the aim of the game with flipping, guys, as you know, is to make as much profit as you possibly can. Okay, so naturally you're inclined to spend more on the refurb and make more on the return. Hey Katrina, how are you? Katrina, oh, we've got all our Ready, Set, Source guys on here tonight, which is fab. This is going to be super useful for you guys inside the coaching program. Okay, first things first, how does the kitchen look? How do the worktops look? How are they looking? Are they grubby? Are they in relatively good condition? Walk around the kitchen, guys, open the unit doors, okay? Take a look inside. Are they looking shit? Are they looking grubby? Do they look as though they might clean up well? If you think they would not clean up well, then it would be pretty prudent to include a new kitchen as part of your refurb requirements, okay? However, okay, and this is where the ability to be thrifty with your money will play a role, okay? If the insides of the cabinets are fine, maybe you can just get away with new units, new doors, okay? Something to think about. Maybe you could get away with just painting the units, which again would be much cheaper than a brand new kitchens. All right, so these are the things that you're going to want to take into consideration when you're looking at the kitchen first and foremost. All right, now a handy tip to know what spec is usually the standard of the buy to lets in your area is just do some research online, guys. Check out the spec and the standard of the kitchens in buy to lets in your area online that are up for rent or just recently rented. So that will allow you some scope to know what spec you should be working towards in a refurb for your investor. Tenants will notice worktops. Tenants will notice the state of the cabinets, the handles and the smaller detail. So you'll want to pay attention to it. If you're going to put in a completely new kitchen in a standard 2 to 3 bed buy to let, you're looking at about in the region of £1,200 to £1,600. That price will vary per region across the UK, but that's typically what we're working with here in Belfast. All right. So if you need a new kitchen, you're going to need to know what it's going to cost in your area. If you're simply going to patch up a bit of a problem, then you need to know what it's going to cost. What will the paintwork cost on just the cabinets? Okay. Do you need new taps? What will they cost? Do they need new handles? What will they cost? We need to know what they will cost in order to be able to reasonably estimate on the refurb. Next port of call, guys, when viewing is the bathroom. Okay, is the bathroom. Hi, Park, I see you're on as well. Good to see you. That's where I pay most attention on the inside, kitchen and bathroom. So what's the current condition? How does the floor look? Does it maybe need new lino? If it has tiles, what condition are they in? How dated does the bathroom suite look? Does it have a shower? Very important element to look out for, guys, that most tenants want the option of a shower, whether they use it or not, right? But most tenants will want the option of a shower. Families also want the bath for the kids. So is the shower over the bath or not? You want to observe if it has one. If it doesn't, how much will it cost to have an electric shower fitted? Usually quite expensive. So these are the things you're going to want to look out for. Now, if it does have a shower, let's say over the bath, does it have a shower door or does it have a shower curtain? Hi, Park. I loathe shower curtains. I loathe shower curtains. Not only do they actually stick to you when you're showering, but in my experience, for some unbeknown reason, tenants cannot use them properly, okay? And the water always ends up out of the bath, onto the floor. And in one of my properties, we have multiple leaks into the living area as a result. So my advice to you guys is, if it doesn't have a shower door on the bath, then you'll definitely want to factor that into your refurb recce cost, which is in the region of about £130, £140 fitted. Next up, let's take, guys, a look at the interior paintwork of the property. So does the property need a paint job? Personally, I prefer this to be the case, okay? I really just think it brightens the house up. It looks cleaner, it looks fresher, it's more appealing to prospective tenants. You might even be able to get a slightly higher rent as a result. So you're going to want to take the condition of the current paintwork and ascertain, does it need a full repaint from top to bottom? Maybe there are some rooms or some areas that you could skip and paint the main areas of interest, like the hall, stairs, landing, maybe the living room, okay? Honestly, guys, my preference is to do a full refurb. Hi, Max. Max, another ready set source cement tea. Geez, you guys are prolific. You are everywhere at the moment. So my preference, guys, is to do a full repaint for all my buy-to-lets, which are typically your bog standard 2 up, 2 down, mid-terrace properties. A full house repaint costs me £840. That's what it costs me. You're going to want to get to grips with what that will cost in your area with your trades team, okay? Our next port of call, guys, for some attention is the flooring throughout the property. You know, will it be suffice with a good clean? Will it clean up okay? Or quite frankly, is it past its sell-by date? Is it worn? Is it grubby? Is it pulling at the threads? Is it stinking? I've been to many of those places, okay? So we are talking the kitchen flooring, lino, stairs, landing, bedrooms, carpeted, living area, maybe lino, maybe carpet. So I expect to pay in the region for all the floorings in my buy-to-lets, which will be lino in the bathrooms and the kitchens, and hall, stairs and landing, bedrooms carpeted. I generally expect to pay for all of that in the region of £1,500 fitted in my buy-to-lets. The onus is on you to find out what the ballpark figure is. Of course, I am based in Belfast. Some figures will fluctuate regionally, but it should not be that much. So these figures I'm giving you guys tonight should be a good rule of thumb for moving forward. All right, Next area, guys, that I see a lot of newcomers to the deal sourcing industry fail to look at are the electrics. Look, you don't know what you don't know. I was once in this position as well. So take a look at the switches. Do they predate the T-Rex? All right. So if they predate the T-Rex, you're going to want to factor in new switches throughout the property, which will likely sting you in the region of 100 to 120 pounds for a buy-to-let. All right. The next major area of importance, guys, for refurb calculations is the heating systems. All right. Is it gas? Is it oil? Does it need new radiators? The likelihood is it probably won't need new radiators because they have a fairly long shelf life. But you're going to want to look and see, does it need a new boiler? So a boiler will typically, guys, cost you anywhere in the region of £600 for a bog standard entry level boiler, up to around 14, 15. I've seen £2,000 for a state of the art boiler. In my experience, it really doesn't fucking matter a damn which one you opt for, because you can almost bet your life on the fact that either one of them, the entry level one or the state of the art one, will at some point break down in the future and you will be asked to pay for the repair. So £600 doesn't matter, damn, 1400. Okay. By the way, guys, if this is helpful, if this is helping you tonight, just give me like a thumbs up in the comment section. Let me know that you're getting some useful information from tonight's session. Obviously, if you're not, I'm doing it all wrong. But let me know in the comment section or give me a like if this is helping. Okay. All right. Awesome. All right. Next step, guys, is to take a step outside. Would you recommend? Awesome. This is good. I'll come to the questions. Hey, Adam. Good to see you too. All right. Next stop, guys, is to take a step outside and have a look at the exterior and ascertain what needs doing there. So let's say, how do the windows look? Okay. Are they PVC? Are they wooden, timber framed? If they are PVC, the chances are that you won't need to give them any attention. But if they are in poor condition, if they are timber framed, the chances are that you will want to have them replaced. So if there is condensation inside the layers of glass, you're going to want to replace those units. Timber windows need to be replaced, guys. They will be old, they will likely not be painted, they will rot in time if they have not already. So my advice is to have the entire windows replaced if they are timber framed. Now, what typical costs are we looking at for window replacements on a standard buy-to-let? In Belfast, I am looking at around £150 for a small window and £300 for a big window being the living room, big window being the kitchen. Okay, smaller windows being the maybe the bathroom windows and the bedroom windows. 150 for a small window, 300 for a big window. Next up, guys, front and back doors. Now, we do not have to break the bank on this, by the way. We don't need to be OTT. Remember, this is a buy-to-let property. This is not a flip property. This is not your home. But you certainly, with the front door at least, don't want it to be an ugly duckling either. So opt for something modern, something middle of the range, something attractive, a little bit of curb appeal. If your front door needs replaced, you're looking at in the region of 650 for a brand new PVC front door, or somewhere in that ballpark. And 300 to 400 for a back door, which quite frankly doesn't need to be as curb appeal as the front door. So 650 or that region for a brand new PVC front door, 300 to 400 for the back door. Okay, where next? An area so many, I don't like to use the term newcomers, but that is the term that I'm going to use. But so many people who are new to deal sourcing miss, myself included, once upon a time where the gutters, I would never have known to check the state of the gutters, right? So do they need replaced on the property? Are they broken? Look for broken gutters, okay? Look for drooping or sagging gutters. Are they leaking? Can you see any cracks or fractures in the guttering to the house? Now, if the answer to that is yes to any of those questions, guys, it would be pretty prudent to factor in new ones. £300 in my area will cover that gutters front and back. Okay? Coming to finish up, guys, has been a super bite-sized training tonight, but it's really, really important, guys, to factor in a contingency to the refurb costs, all right? Because almost as sure as the sun will set and rise every day, an unplanned for expense will come up during a refurb. That is almost a given. Something that you had not factored into your calculations will rear its ugly head. And if you do not have this contingency built in, then it's this very occurrence that can take a deal from being a deal to being dead in the water. Now, here's what I did not know to factor in on the first sourcing refurb that I ever carried out. I didn't know to factor this in. Skips. Builders, skips. Okay? Do you actually have any idea how fucking expensive skips actually are? All right, drop me a comment, guys, in the comments below. Is adding 10% contingency to the refurb fair enough? In this market, I would be adding 15 max. And I was going to come on to that, but 15, we'll cover that inside Ready, Set, Source as well. But I would add a 15% contingency just to give yourself a little bit of extra wiggle room. But yeah, first refurb I ever did, factored in a pretty shitty small contingency, and the skips blew the contingency out of the water, not to mention everything else that cropped up as well, including the switches and things like that. So it's like £260 for a medium-sized skip. It's 360 or thereabouts, again, area dependent for a builder's skips. Yeah, so Adrian, 250 in red, and very, very much bang on with what we're working with here in Belfast. And that's a medium skip that you might be able to fit a radiator in my experience. Builder skips are 360. So I was bitten on this first time round, guys, and I had an additional £700 of costs added into my refurb that I had not planned for. That wasn't including everything else that cropped up. Okay, so what else, guys, could you potentially miss out on that you will have to factor into a contingency? Back garden, back rear yard, front yard, if the property has it. Is there fencing? Is there a wall to the rear of the property? What condition is the fencing in? What condition is the walling in? What condition are the yard pavement slabs on? If it has grass, does it need tended to? Does it need weeded? Does it need some minor landscaping? Does it need tidying up? Katrina, 11-yard mixed use, 280. Yeah, so we're all in the same ballpark, guys. So proving that we're not a million miles apart in region, even though there's a sea parting us at the moment. So these are the things, guys, that are so easy to miss, especially if you are relatively new to deal sourcing, especially maybe if you haven't sourced your first deal yet. Then if you're new to viewing properties, if you're not sure what you should be looking for and where you should be looking for it. So my advice, guys, and to answer your question, Max, is to add in an additional 15% contingency onto your refurb quote to cover unplanned events should they arise, and they bloody will. Okay, so let's say you estimate your refurb for your buy to let at £7,000. It would be wise to add an additional £1,000 or just over contingency to cover yourself. Okay, that, guys, is how to calculate the refurb costs on a standard family home, standard buy to let. Now, what I really want to say is that the onus is very much on you as the deal sourcer to compile these numbers. All right, the onus is very much on you to get to grips with that rule of thumb on the costs of the different elements that we covered tonight. So I've given you a helping hand on what each of the refurb elements cost in my area. We can see online that there's not a major difference, but it's important to know that the costs they will vary slightly region to region. So a little tip for you to find out the average costs in your area is to call 3 to 5 tradesmen and ask for the ballpark figures on each of the individual areas that we cover tonight. So it doesn't need to be to the penny, it just needs to be ballpark. So get 3 or 5 of those and you have got an excellent marker for a starting point for calculating the refurb in your area. Now I know that I can confidently refurb a buy-to-let for approximately £7,000 in Belfast. That's typically what I expect to pay in a standard refurb. I might have an email from my builder quite recently. Oh, let's see. Pretty sure that I had an email from my builder recently that gave, always happens when you're looking for it. Okay, I can't find it. But I emailed from my builder just before we went off on holidays last week for our most recent buy-to-let purchase, and the entire quote came back in the region of £8,000. That was including replacing timber frame windows, that was including a full repaint from top to bottom, that was including new floors, hall, stairs, landing and bathroom. And what else? That included a new combi boiler as well. So what I do is when I find that email, I drop it below so that you guys can see exactly the type of ballpark figures we're working with for a standard buy-to-let. So guys, I hope that's been super, super helpful. Remember, if you're a property sourcer in the first 0 to 6 months of your journey and you need help getting your processes, getting your systems, fine-tuning your success map and getting it in place to learn exactly how to be successful, then our program Ready, Set, Source might be able to help you. If you are a property sourcer past the 6-month mark, have done at least one deal, and you need to scale your income and scale your freedom, then our mastermind Ready, Set, Scale might be for you. You can drop it in the comments below, you can shoot me a message and we can have a chat. If I can help you, I will let you know. Guys, it's been a pleasure. I'm so glad to be back. I missed you all terribly. So guys, 𝗙𝗧𝗦𝗕𝗥𝗏, almost 8 o'clock, take action. Do not become consumed by consuming information and not taking action. Until next week, I will see you all soon. Bye guys.